times as a demon, then you can, because I need to, have some exercises. I want to stretch my muscles a little bit, so I need to go down to the lower regions to do some, I have something to do there and stretch my fighting muscles. So you can have 3 births, lifetimes on earth as a demon, and then you come back to me, because they said, oh, we want to come back as soon as possible. So they made a commitment, like they come back after 3 lifetimes as in a demoniac form. I don't know. Okay, I start here. That is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. After saying this, the Lord departed, and Jaya and Vijay, who had become morose and pale because of the Brahmana's curse, fell down from Vaikuntha. As they were falling, the Kumaras reassured them that after 3 demoniac births, they would once again return to Vaikuntha. The demigods, who were observing all of this from their celestial airplanes, let out a great roar of disappointment, and therefore Jaya and Vijay entered Diti's womb after being covered by Kashyapata's powerful semen. Okay, I go a bit further. So Jaya and Vijaya became the form of the demon Hiranyaksha, and the other form was Hiranyakasipu. Okay. Kashyapa named the firstborn, who was formerly Jaya, Hiranyaksha, and the one who was conceived first, who was formerly Vijaya, was named Hiranyakasipu. Soon after their birth, the demoniac twins exhibited uncommonly bodily features, and their steel-like frames became so tall that they seemed to touch the sky. Indeed, they blocked the view in all directions, and as they walked, the earth shook with every step. So big demons. After performing great austerities, Hiranyakasipu received benedictions from Lord Brahma, and as a result, he became unafraid of death and very proud. Being most powerful, Hiranyakasipu was able to bring the entire 3 worlds under his control. His brother, Hiranyaksha, had also received Brahma's benediction of near immortality, and so he became similarly powerful and conceited. To satisfy his elder brother, Hiranyakasipu took his club and began to travel all over the universe with a fighting spirit. Because no one was able to kill him due to Brahma's benediction, even the demigods fearfully hid upon seeing Hiranyaksha, just as snakes hide out of fear of Garuda. When Hiranyaksha thus saw Indraloka vacant, he roared loudly, understanding that the demigods had admitted defeat without even fighting. After returning from heaven, Hiranyaksha sportingly dove deep into the ocean, and upon seeing him, all of the great aquatics panicked and fled. Finally, after moving about in the ocean for many years, Hiranyaksha reached Vibhavari, Varuna's capital. Just to make fun of the Lord of the Waters, Hiranyaksha fell at his feet and smilingly begged, "Give me battle, O Supreme Lord." Upon seeing Hiranyaksha's arrogance, Varuna became enraged. Still he curbed his anger by means of intelligence and replied, "O dear one, I have given up fighting because I'm too old. You are so skilled in battle that I can see no one else but the most ancient person, Lord Vishnu, who can satisfy you. O chief of the Daitas, I suggest that you approach him and thus become rid of your pride by lying down dead upon the battlefield, surrounded by carnivorous animals." Without paying any more heed to Varuna, Hiranyaksha departed. Then, when he happened to meet the great sage Narada, the demon learned the whereabouts of the Supreme Lord. After once again entering the depth of the ocean, Hiranyaksha saw the all-powerful Supreme Lord in his boar incarnation, bearing the earth upwards, while keeping her on the ends of his tusks. Upon seeing the Lord, the demon laughingly exclaimed, "An amphibious beast, O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar. The earth belonged to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and so I cannot allow you to take it away from my presence. You rascal, today I shall enliven my kinsman by killing you. When you fall down dead with your skull smashed by my mace, the demigods and rishis who offer you obeisances and sacrifice will also cease to be, just like a tree that can no longer live without roots." Although the Lord was certainly pained to hear such abusive language, he tolerated it so that he could continue carrying the earth, which had become very frightened. As Lord Varaha rose out of the water, Hiranyaksha chased him and roared, "Are you not ashamed of yourself for running away after being challenged by an adversary? There is nothing that is reproachable for shameless creatures like you." Despite these harsh words, Lord Varaha calmly placed the earth upon the surface of the water and then empowered her with the capacity to float. At this time, Lord Brahma and the other demigods praised the Lord for his wonderful act of lifting up the earth, and they showered flowers upon him. Then, to express his terrible anger, the Lord replied, "Indeed, we are creatures of the jungle and are searching for hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging, for you are bound up by the laws of death. Now give up your foolish talk and attempt to kill me. One may be very proud, but he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promise." Being thus challenged, Hiranyaksha became very angry and agitated, and his whole body began to tremble, while hissing indignantly. The demon sprang at the Lord and tried to strike him with his powerful mace. By moving aside, however, the Lord dodged the blow, and then with his own mace he attempted to smash Hiranyaksha's forehead. Being an expert fighter, the demon blocked the blow with his own mace, however, and therefore a fierce encounter took place. As both combatants struck one another repeatedly with their strong clubs, the smell of blood that flowed from their wounds made them more and more furious. Being very eager for victory, both the Lord and the demon exhibited wonderful maneuvers, so that the battle looked like a contest between two powerful bulls for the sake of a cow. Lord Brahma had been staying in the sky along with all the demigods and celestial rishis, so that he could witness the terrible fight that was being waged for the sake of the earth. Becoming somewhat anxious, he addressed Lord Varaha. "My dear Lord, Hiranyaksha has always oppressed the demigods, brahmanas, cows, and other innocent creatures." There is no need for you to play with this serpentine demon any longer, for he is very skilled in utilizing mystic powers, and he is most arrogant and wicked. My dear, infallible Lord, please kill him before the demoniac hour of twilight arrives and thus increases his strength. The auspicious period called Abhijat began at noon and has almost passed. Therefore, please dispose of your formidable enemy quickly and thus establish peace within the world. In response, the Lord heartily laughed, while at the same time he accepted Brahma's prayer with a glance that was laden with love. Then, as Hiranyaksha fearlessly stood nearby, Lord Varaha suddenly sprang at him, while aiming his mace at the demon's chin. Hiranyaksha blocked the blow with his own mace, however, and as a result, the Lord's club slipped from his hand. That blazing mace looked splendid, while whirling around and around as it fell as a great cry of alarm. And a great cry of alarm arose from the onlooking demigods and rishis. Still, even though he had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe, Hiranyaksha respected the etiquette for single combat by refraining from doing so. This kindled the Lord's fury even more, however, and he invoked his Sudarshan chakra. As this wonderful disc revolved in the Lord's hand while he was at close quarters with his enemy, the demigods and rishis exclaimed, "May victory be yours! Dispatch him at once! Don't play with the demon any longer!" Seeing Lord Varaha before him with the Sudarshan chakra in his hand, Hiranyaksha resentfully bit his lip and began to hiss like a serpent. Then that great demon, with fearful tusks, suddenly sprang into the air while wielding his club, and while doing so, he shouted, "You are slain!" As Hiranyaksha tried to strike him, Lord Varaha playfully kicked the mace from his hand with his left foot and then said, "Pick up your weapon, since you are so eager to conquer me." Being so challenged, Hiranyaksha picked up his mace and then hurled it impetuously while roaring loudly. Without even flinching, however, Lord Varaha easily caught the mace in his hand, and so the demon felt greatly humiliated. Being reluctant to take back his weapon when the Lord offered it to him, Hiranyaksha instead picked up a flaming trident and violently hurled it as the trident blazed brightly while soaring through the sky. Lord Varaha tore it to pieces by releasing his Sudarshan chakra. At this, the demon became more enraged, and while letting out a loud roar, he rushed at Lord Varaha impetuously. After striking the Lord on the chest with his hard fist, Hiranyaksha immediately disappeared. The Lord was not disturbed, at least, by the blow. However, any more than an elephant would feel hurt being struck by a flower. Thereafter Hiranyaksha employed many conjuring tricks against the Lord, who is Yogeshvara, and all who saw the magical display thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. Fierce winds began blowing, and the dust that was raised created darkness in all directions. Torrents of stones fell from the sky, along with showers of pus, hair, blood, stool, urine, and bones accompanied by lightning and thunder. Mountains discharged various weapons, and naked demonesses with their hair hanging loose suddenly appeared, carrying tridents. Hosts of yakshas and rakshasas were heard, uttering cruel and savage slogans as they marched on foot or rode upon horses, elephants, and chariots. By releasing his Sudarshan chakra, however, the Lord was able to dispel all of these illusions, and at that moment a shudder of terror passed through Diti's heart. While recalling the words of her husband, blood began to flow from her breasts. When Hiranyaksha saw that his magical creations had been dispelled, he once again made himself visible in a fit of rage. He tried to crush the Lord within his arms as a last resort. But to his great surprise, after trying to grab the Lord, the demon found that he was still outside the circle of his arms. Then, as Hiranyaksha angrily struck him with his fists, Lord Varaha slapped him indifferently at the root of the ear, making him stagger backwards. With his eyeballs bulging out of their sockets, his hair scattered, and his limbs broken, the great demon fell down dead, like an uprooted tree. Lord Brahma and the other demigods quickly arrived at that spot to see the slain body of the demon close up. Still biting his lip, Hiranyaksha's body luster had not faded. In spite of the absence of the soul, because the Lord's lotus foot remained touching it, Lord Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet with such a blessed death?" This fortunate demon was struck by the lotus foot of the Lord, upon whom yogis meditate in mystic trance in the hopes of gaining liberation from their unreal material bodies. Thereafter, the demigods expressed their great appreciation for the Lord's having assumed his Varaha form and relieving them of their agonizing fear of the demon. After receiving the demigods' praises, the Lord returned to his own abode in the spiritual world, where there is always an uninterrupted festival going on. Sutta Goswami concluded his narration by saying, O Brahmanas, anyone who hears, chants, or takes pleasure in the wonderful description of Lord Varaha's killing of Hiranyaksha is at once delivered from the results of all kinds of sinful activities, including the killing of a Brahmana. Jai. See Varaha's appearance day ki Jai. Jai Sri Ekadasi Vrata ki Jai. Hari Halaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudama Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Dada Sri Vasari Kora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatan Datara Punata Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasara Guna Jai Kosai Kori Charana Vandana Yahweh Vidnana Sapista Purana Jai Kosai Jai Muitara Dasa Sansavara Padare Numura Panchaka Samdera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sane Basa Janane Moreya Vilas Jai Kosai Jabe Praja Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bola Hari Bhaja Vrindabha Sri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhyayama Sri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koya Hari Nam Sankirtana Kore Narottama Das Hare Krishna Sapai Kai Sisi Guru Kuranga Radha Kiridari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Nirmala Jaya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Sila Bhakti Rakak Sira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Bhagavan Sila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Sri Rupa Nuka Varga Ki Jai. Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Sapashadan Sima Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Jai Ganga Yamuna Ji Ki Jai. Jai Granta Rachimad Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Jai Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jai Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jai Sri Purushottama Dham Ki Jai. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat West London Chapter Ki Jai. Jai Samadvaita Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Jai Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.